Shalom, and welcome to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. This is a recording of a Shabbat teaching with Rabbinic Intern, Adrian Marcos.
This Seudah Shelisheet teaching is a continuation of something that I taught this morning, although it's the second part. As you see in the title head, it says the sounds of celebration and creation. And this one is going to focus more on the creation aspect of song. So I want to start us off by having someone read the first three sources, because they all set the stage. Who volunteers? Okay, Brian, let me get you a mic.
אז ישיר משה ובני ישראל את השירה הזאת לאדוני ואמרו לאמור, השיר לאדוני כי גאול גאה סוס ורוכבו רמה וים, עוזי וזמרת יד ויהי לי לישועה, זה אלי וענווהו אלוהי אבי וארוממנו. Then sang Moses and the children of Israel this song unto the Lord, saying, Lord, and spoke, saying, I will sing unto the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and his rider he hath thrown into the sea. The Lord is my strength and song, and he is become my salvation. This is my God, and I will glorify him, my father's God, and I will exalt him. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi chamocha narabakodesh, nurati lot osefele. Who is like unto thee, O Lord, among the mighty? Who is like unto thee, glorious in holiness, fearful in praises, doing wonders? Vatikach Miriam, Handvi'a Achot Aharon et Hatof Beyada V'Teitzena Chol Hanashim Acharecha Betufim Uvim Cholot V'Ta'an Lahem Miriam Shira L'Adonai Ki Ga'ol Ga'a Sus V'Rochavo Rama Vayam. And Miriam the prophetess, the sister of Aaron, took a timbrel in her hand, and all the women went out after her with timbrels and with their dances. And Miriam sang unto them, Sing ye to the Lord, for he is highly exalted. The horse and his rider he hath thrown unto the sea.
Awesome. Thank you, Brian. Okay, the stage has been set. We have this wonderful song with very powerful imagery. If you were in shul today, you got to experience some of it during the maftir, where our bat mitzvah girl chanted, and then we responded. Really cool. This is why Shabbat Shira is one of my favorite times. Simchat Torah is like the best party. Anyway, that's beside the point. So this brings me to our next source, which is from Shemot Rabbah. Shemot Rabbah is part of the Midrashic collection, or Midrashic Agadoth, where the rabbis read Torah and were like, hey, wait a minute. I have questions, and then try to answer their questions by creating situations or explanations that fit said question. Does anybody want to read Shemot Rabbah 23:1? Joey does? Okay.
Then Moshe sang, This is what it meant. This is what is meant when it says, Your throne is established from of old. Rabbi Berechia said in the name of Rabbi Abahu, even though you have existed forever, your throne was not established, for you were not known in your world until your children sang a song.
Awesome. Thank you, Joey. Okay. We are going to put a slight pin in it, and then I'm going to throw in Lord of the Rings. Well, it's from the Silmarillion, but it's still the Lord of the Rings metaverse, universe. Because although this piece of Midrash answers one question, and the question being, what does it mean by then Moshe sang? It raises another question. What does it mean when it's saying the throne of Hashem was not established, Hashem was not known to the world? And within the context, like we have our creation myth, right? Where there was Tohu Vavohu, this created an unformed void, and then God spoke, and things started to form. You find something very similar in the Silmarillion, where you have the god figure, Eru Iluvatar, who also existed in nothingness and decided he was lonely. So he created the Ainur, which are angels. He created two types, the Valar and the Maiar, we don't really care about the Maiar right now. But the Valar and Eru Iluvatar sang the world into existence. And it makes me think of this, like that imagery, it makes me think of this, because what Rabbi Berechia is saying in the name of Rabbi Abahu is, okay, there was something, but the establishment, the creation of a reality for the Israelite people did not happen until they were at the Sea of Reeds and they all started to sing. Well, Moses started singing, and then everybody else joined in. Anybody thus far have a response or a question to that? Do they agree with Rabbi Abahu, or, well, really, Rabbi Berechia speaking in the name of Rabbi Abahu's statement that the throne of Hashem was not established before this moment? Or are they... Yes, Brian.
I mean, Hashem talks to Abraham. Hashem talks to Moses and says, I am known as El Shaddai. So we have this idea of God being known by various many names before Shirat Hayam.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what Rabbi Berechia is getting at precisely. I'm willing to give him the benefit of some doubt as to what precisely he means by your throne was not established and you were not known in your world until your children sang a song, because, at least based on text, God is known to at least some groups of people. The patriarchs, the matriarchs, and Moses.
Excellent point. However, this is my counter, and it's relevant. Hashem is known to individual people. At this point, I mean, maybe Hashem was known to Avimelech, and then Avimelech pulled the Pharaoh, and like all of his descendants forgot about Hashem. But none of the other nations know really about the God of the Hebrews. At this point, they're still the Hebrews, the Israelites. And we'll read in a few parshiot, Moses goes up to the mountain to receive the Ten Commandments, and the Israelites freak out. They're like, oh my God, this guy is never coming back. And then they look to Aaron, and they're like, okay, you need to build us something to worship, which turns out to be the golden calf. That doesn't go well for anybody. And Hashem is so angry at the presence of the golden calf and the fact that these people really could not keep it together for the time that Moshe was gone, that Hashem is like, you know what? I am going to smite these people. Moses, you're up on deck. The next generation is going to come out from you. And Moses' response to that is, what are you doing? What are the other nations of the world going to say when you have just led these people out to freedom only to smite the shenanigans out of them? And that's really the first mention that we get in Torah. Granted, it's not in this parsha, but still, it's really the first mention that we get that indicates the other nations are starting to pay attention and realize, oh, there is this big God out there that maybe we should be noticing. Now, maybe if you've ever been at a swimming pool, the acoustics are very weird. So maybe they were hearing the song ricocheting off the waters from the Sea of Reeds, and that's how they got their news of, hey, Egypt just got their butts kicked. These people are all free. We need to take notice. So that knowledge was created for the other nations as the song rippled out across the sea. Yes.
Okay, the golden calf. It's not just an idol. I mean, the people lost hope. That they pretty well gave up that Moses was going to come back, and they just didn't believe Moses was going to come back. So, they went to the golden calf. I don't think I think it's more than just an idol. It's a reminder of giving up hope and no longer believing.
I can riff on that, but that's going to be later because I don't have a lot of time. Yes,
The piece from Shemot Rabbah about the world God not being known in the world until after this song really ties into even just the next parsha. So I like your example of the golden calf. And even before that, in Parsha Yitro, it starts with Yitro hearing about everything that happened to Bnei Israel and then immediately coming and asking to join right after this. And the word Vayishma Yitro, Yitro heard everything that had happened, perhaps through this song, like you were saying.
Yep. Thank you. Okay. Yes.
I have difficulty with the concept of the throne not being established until the people sang. I had always been of the opinion that the forging of the people into a nation, which is what I would understand to mean that the throne is established, in other words, that there is a group that recognizes God's authority, was when the revelation occurred at Mount Sinai, sometime after this. So, just from that standpoint, I have difficulty accepting what this midrash says. I think it's clear that the people all singing was an event that was important, and probably had some impact on nation building, but I don't think that it's fair to say that the throne was established at that point.
It's a good point. And admittedly, that is like something that I was turning over in my head when I was making the source sheet, because like the rest of the stuff made sense, but the throne part didn't. The best, I guess, explanation that I could think of was the throne, the building blocks for the throne were put into place, but Hashem did not. The people of Israel did not see Hashem sitting in that throne until the revelation at Sinai, right? They didn't recognize that there was anybody there because they had been in a foreign land that didn't have Hashem. Like, Egypt had its gods, but really Hashem was probably the last thing on the Israelites' minds when they were slaves, because they were, really busy and just being grossly mistreated. And we see that expression of lack of faith, to go off the comment from the lovely woman sitting behind you. Like, they express a lack of faith multiple times. They're like, even we read it today, where they immediately start grumbling, right? So there is some wherewithal that there is a divine up above, but it's not a reality to them yet. Which brings me to our next source.
Adrian, can I say something quickly?
Yes.
Michael, it might settle your mind a bit if you take this midrash, as they say, seriously but not literally, because it's the trick of the midrash that is making the rhetorical point. Look at the Hebrew in the bottom of the first page of the Torah source sheet. The verse quoted from Psalm 93 has 3 Hebrew words, right? Shh. 3 Hebrew words. Nachon, kisacha, me'az. Kisacha, your throne. Nachon was correct, was established. In context, the verse me'az means from way back when. But the trick in the midrash was, when was your throne established? From Az Yashir Moshe. Meaning, what they're saying is not that you can't make the counter argument that God didn't reign beforehand, but when did God's kingship really reign in the world? From the moment of Az. It's more focusing on what Moshe brought to the world with that song than wondering whether or not God was king beforehand. It's a play on Az.
I see. Thank you.
I didn't. That's a great point, and yeah, I didn't originally catch that. That's why it helps to have multiple eyes on a source sheet. So who wants to read Megillah? Not like, well, yes, actually, you read Megillah.
Rabbi Hanina Bar Papa said that Rabbi Shila, a man of the village of Timarta, interpreted a verse homiletically. All of the songs of the Bible are written in the form of half a brick arranged upon a whole brick, and a whole brick arranged upon a half brick, i.e., each line of the song is divided into a stitch of text referred to as half a brick, which is separated by a blank space referred to as a whole brick from the concluding stitch of that line of text.
Thank you. So this is where we really start to get into the nuts and bolts of sound and words as creation. It's not on this source sheet because I thought about it when I was walking here and reading my source sheet. But there's a midrash about Torah being like black fire on white fire, like the words of Torah being that, which in of itself is very creative and artistic, which ties into this. But the song, when I interpret Rabbi Hanina's interpretation of what it means that the songs are building blocks. They are serving as building blocks. What is music at its core? Words in a lot of cases, notes, things that weave together and tell a story. If you've ever listened to, I've listened to a lot of Beethoven because my roommate's really into Beethoven. But if you listen to Beethoven, right, there is a build-up happening that is telling a story. And the song, like Az Yashir, is telling a story, right? It is telling us what just happened and building us up for the call and response that happens during us, not during us service, during the service. So, yeah. Yes.
So I really like this piece of Megillah, this piece of the Talmud, and you can see it physically. It's on the Siddur in front of you on page 27, the way that Az Yashir is laid out, like half a brick on top of a whole brick and a whole brick on top of a half brick. And I always love seeing that in the Torah because it really sets it apart from everything else written around it.
Yes. And excellent. Because I love Shabbat Shira, love this Parsha, really love the way that it looks in a Torah scroll. Because it's showing, it kind of shows like how the sea itself is parting. But also this is the building or the beginning of the Israelites being free. Because up until this song is sung, up until like a couple moments before, you have Pharaoh and his choice chariots, whatever choice chariots actually means, are chasing the Israelites, right? Pharaoh has changed his mind, realizing, we just let go most of our labor force. That's not good. We want them back. And as they are chasing the Israelites start to panic. And they are in a liminal space. Like, they're kind of free, but you have the people who've enslaved them pursuing them, ready to drag them back into freedom. So until they cross the Sea of Reeds, until they are on the dry land and able to sing, they are not free. The reality is one where slavery is more real to them than freedom. I'm not disagreeing that they lost hope, or that they got scared. And I think it's a perfectly natural response to really stressful situations is to just get scared. So who wants to read the next source page? Okay, let me get you the mic.
Yep. Okay, perfect. Okay, thank you. Let me just take this off here.
Rabbi Elzar said that Rabbi Hamima said, Torah scholars increase peace in the world, as it is said, and all your children shall be taught of the Lord, and great shall be the peace of your children. Isaiah 54, 13, if all the children of Israel are taught of the Lord, there will be peace for all. The sages interpreted this verse homiletically. Do not read your children, but your builders. Torah scholars are those who build peace for their generation, as it is stated, those who love your Torah have great peace. There is no stumbling block for them. Psalms 119, verse 165, and may there be peace within your walls, prosperity within your houses. Because for the sake of my brothers and friends, I shall say, peace be with you. For the sake of the house of the Lord, our God, I will seek your good. And may the Lord give strength to his people, and the Lord will bless his people with peace.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Paige. I want to focus on two things in this piece of Talmud. First, children as builders. And peace. Once the Israelites are across the sea and they're on the dry land and they are singing, there is a brief moment of peace and respite. The Egyptians are no longer pursuing them because they're drowning, which is, that in and of itself is chaotic, but the Israelites are feeling what it is to be free, and that is to be at peace, right? We also know that the generation that left Egypt never made it into the land. They all died off. It was their kids, the next generation, who go into the land. And there's a lot of conquering under Joshua, but the underlying intention is that once the land has been conquered, there will be a peace where the Israelites, later the Jews, can live safely and hopefully at peace with their neighbors. The reality of that, if you look at Nevi'im, is that it goes back and forth from time to time. But again, song as a way to start peace, as a way for them to recognize that they are free and capable of more to life. Brian, stand by. Let me get you a mic.
I find this piece of Talmud very interesting, especially as it relates to what you were talking earlier with the Silmarillion, because for all intents and purposes, the Valar and the Maiar are Eru Iluvatar's children. Mm-hmm. And one of the Valar, Melkor, right? Melkor is a Valar?
Yes, he is a Valar.
One of the Valar, Melkor, who is the predecessor to Sauron, does not want to sing the same song as all the other Valar, and that's what causes all the disruption and chaos in the world. So because of this friction, you have this evil that enters into the world, and he is not willing to build in the same way as the rest of the children. And it's interesting that the children are builders because, at least in Tolkien philosophy, evil cannot create anything. It cannot build anything. It can only pervert, which is why the One Ring was created. It uses an Elvish language on its inscription, but it's this perverted version of Elvish. Yep. So the thing I find particularly interesting is that this is all about, wishing peace within the walls and having builders and focusing on brotherhood when the notion of nation building is inherently scary, and there's going to be friction there. So using this text as a way to remind everybody in all the Israelites that they're striving for the same goal, as terrifying as it can be to enter the land of Canaan and immediately start warring can be, that there is Eru Iluvatar or Hashem on the side of man.
Yep. Thank you, Brian. I think I have enough time. So I am going to read the next two sources because they are related, at least in my head. So the first source comes from Arachin, which is also in Talmud, and it says the sages taught in a Baraita that the song that the Levites sing when they're doing their offerings is an indispensable component of the offering, which, according to the stuff that's not bolded, which is Rabbi Steinsaltz's commentary, means that if the Levites didn't sing, the offering is invalid. Well, it's also the statement of Rabbi Meir. The other rabbis disagree. And if we jump several chapters in Torah, in Shemot, we have the verse from Exodus 25:8 that says, "And let them make me a sanctuary that I may dwell amongst them." And the reason I say that these are connected is because, one, nowadays we sing our prayers, right? Every time we daven, we are singing to some melody or another, sometimes in tune, sometimes in not. Looking at myself. But when we are davening, we are creating a space that allows us to connect with Hashem. We are creating essentially a sanctuary that allows the divine presence to dwell amongst us so that we can be in conversation, right? We are creating a space and a reality where we can just be ourselves. If it's very different than some other services that I personally have experienced growing up, where everything is read kind of plain and monotone. The fact that Talmud is saying us, well, these songs are so indispensable, they have to be sung maybe a certain way to get that emotionality across, to really reinforce what is happening around the people so that they can appreciate this act of communal gathering and this act of creating something sacred. It really stands out to me, and I find it fascinating.
You've been listening to another in our series of podcasts from Temple Beth Am, a dynamic center for conservative Judaism in Los Angeles. If you enjoy these podcasts, we invite you to write a review on the Apple Podcast website or wherever you get your podcasts. For more information on Temple Beth Am, Los Angeles, please visit www.tbala.org.